Hi, welcome all to this demo of SAP Transportation Management. Just to start with, what is transportation management and what is it about? SAP Transportation Management is yet another product from the SAP basket to offer or to solve the logistics needs of various companies. It can be implemented at, you can say, at any sort of manufacturing company who is engaged into manufacturing of goods, and also at the third-party logistics service providers end. So over the years, SAP's been successful to build a product called transportation management. A lot of versions of transportation management are there in the market. Earlier it started with initially TPVS system, then we have the TM 6.0 and TM 8.0, 8.1 and 9.0. So this thing, this demo is concentric to tell us about what transportation management is all about and what we shall be doing in our course. So I have this small PDF that we shall be running through, and then we shall be talking about what shall be the course scope and what all were the things we will be covering in the course. If my screen is visible to you, what is the major focus area when we are talking and we are planning, we are managing the transports? For the global economy, what is the major concern? The major concern is to reduce the global transportation spend. Our aim when we are implementing some kind of a transportation management solution, our aim is to reduce the total cost of transportation, be it choosing the best truck size, be it consolidating various deliveries into a shipment to reduce again the transportation costs, or to manage a truck whereby it's going and dropping various places on its way. So in this way we can have a system, or that's what is the expectation of the transportation management system. The second thing is consumer prices and company profitability. Now we have a lot of things to cut down on the material costs and all those things, but have we ever thought of making the logistics costs or probably the transportation costs less, so that the overall expenditure is less, so that the company profitability increases, the net landing to a particular company becomes less and its profitability increases. The third point here says about global carbon dioxide emissions. Countries such as the United States, UK, a lot of European countries are a lot of carbon dioxide emission conscious. So they get good tax rebates when they are having or implementing such a product that tells us that, hey, you can consolidate these many shipments into a single truck or a single container that can go overseas, etc., etc. What is the main focus area for the customers who are implementing TM? The first, most importantly, is the global supply chain network. If, let's suppose, some kind of a third-party logistics service provider, something like DHL, Panalpina, etc., etc., implementing in their system, how do they benefit? They are able to benefit because they are able to maintain in their system a global supply chain, so that their reach increases to across the globe through a lot of vendors who are actually doing the transport. So the third-party logistics service provider may not actually be doing the transport. He is getting in touch with various carriers whose networks and master data is maintained into the system, and they are doing the actual transport. The second thing says about customer service. If obviously we are delivering the goods on time, on the planned dates, so that we are minimizing supply chain risks by delivering on dates, we are giving the customer a good service. He like us. The third thing is operational efficiency and cost reduction. Now obviously if I'm doing all sorts of transportations, I would be having some kinds of vehicle resources, handling resources. So how do I manage all these in terms of their usability, in terms of their sizes, in terms of the best suitability, in terms of various places, in terms of times, etc., etc. How do I manage them in an efficient manner? That's what it talks about. So the last thing is about SAP, how it's crucial to SAP. So I'm just skipping that thing as to what it's important for SAP as. If we talk about the major challenges that we have or we face into the logistics market, the first question says, how do I manage my logistics network in a holistic fashion? If I have booked a container on a ship that's going from probably Mumbai to the port of Hamburg, so that container is not fully occupied. Can I put in more material there? That's what my TM will tell me. The second point says, how do I ensure transparency and minimize supply chain risks? Obviously, if you're delivering on planned dates and your planning is good, realistic, you're obviously going to minimize the supply chain risks. The third thing here is, how can I reduce my operational costs and better understand transportation costs at the customer level? Being involved either into manufacturing or being a third-party logistics service provider, I have to take care that the transportation costs have to be the minimum. Even if the customer is bearing those costs, even if I am a company and my customer is bearing those costs, it has to be the minimum. We are into a competitive world and I cannot afford these costs to be more. The fourth thing here is, how do I ensure best possible usage of my assets? So all my vehicle resources, handling resources, etc., should be managed in the best possible way. It should not happen that one of my handling resources are lying vacant at one of my plants or distribution centers and the other ones are over-occupied or overloaded. The fifth thing here says, how do I ensure high customer service levels and responsiveness to unexpected supply chain events? You can integrate SAP TM with lots and lots of other products. So one of these products is SAP Event Management, whereby you keep on telling the customer or the shipper or the consignee that, hey, that's the status of your shipment. So all these things we shall study when we'll be doing the course. The last thing is, how do I ensure I'm compliant with all varying regulations and compliance policies? Again, when we spoke about the integration of SAP TM with other products, there's something called as the GTS system. So if you have a GTS system, Global Trade Services, you can integrate all these things and maintain the compliance policies, regulations there, so that they are able to interact and make the transit compliant to that. Coming on to the next slide, how can the goods go from the shipper to the customer or the consignee? It has two ways. So what all are these two ways? One way is that the shipper calls to different carriers, chooses the best carriers, negotiates with them for different stages of the transport. For example, if any particular goods are to go from Delhi to Berlin, so the shipper would be managing all sorts of legs or stages of that transport. It's from Delhi to Mumbai, Mumbai to the port of Hamburg, and then from the port of Hamburg to the customer in Berlin. So all these stages will be negotiated in a separate way by the shipper itself. The second possible way of sending these goods is that it outsources it to a freight forwarder. The complete, all these things, all the stages would be taken care now by the freight forwarder. So the freight forwarder may or may not have his own fleet of trucks, vehicles, etc., etc. It's again getting in touch with a lot of carriers to manage the goods delivery. So TM finds its application at both these places, such as a freight forwarder, that the example could be Canadian Railways, DHL, Cargill, Panalpina. So all these are successful TM implementations. Then it's shippers who are actual manufacturers. So even these can be implementing TM to talk to various carriers. So the examples could be here. For example, Sigma Aldrich, Dow Chemical Company, Owens Corning, etc., etc. If we talk about what all processes are supported by transportation management, coming on to the next slide. So the order management tells us, there are a lot of processes that are supported by TM. For example, order management. So either you could create your orders in ECC, CRM and make them flow to TM in terms of orders, deliveries, purchase orders, STOs, or you can create your orders also in TM. So that's called as a forwarding order. The next process that's supported by TM is freight planning and tendering. What is planning? Planning is to see what is the best possible vehicle resource, what is the best possible route, what is the best possible schedule to do a transport, depending on the availability of all these vehicle resources, handling resources, goods receiving hours, etc., etc. All these things are taken into account when the system is planning, and then you can do the tendering also. So you can only do logistics tendering. You cannot do the material tendering. The third thing is that is supported by TM is the execution and monitoring. That's done by the EM, event management, whereby you can print and send transportation documents, you can do the transport freight and track various events that have occurred in the life cycle of that of a particular shipment, whether the loading has started, whether unloading has started, whether it's on transit, etc., etc. All of these are updated with the help of transportation management. And finally, there is freight settlement. Again, freight settlement is also supported by TM. So what kinds of freight settlement? Initially we had discussed that the shipper is sending goods to the customer by two ways. One is getting in touch with the carriers straight away, and the other one is getting in touch with the freight forwarder. So once the freight forwarder is selling services to the shipper, TM supports settlement between the freight forwarder and the shipper also. The second kind of settlement would be the freight forwarder is buying certain services from the carriers. So even this part of settlement is supported by TM. There are two types of documents that we shall be seeing in the training. That's forwarding settlement document and the freight settlement document that can be seen in TM. I'll skip this slide since this talks about SAP mission and strategy. What is the history of TM and why is SAP a market leader? So SAP claims that it's in this transportation and logistics market since years, with a lot of products such as TPVS, TM 6.0 and 7.0, which were a standalone solution. It gave its way to TM 8.0, which was built for the shippers. And then finally we have now the TM 8.1 and 9.0 different versions of transportation management. So the SAP Transportation Management has got a lot of things. What all are these things? It has got a deep process integration. So be it that you run a sales order in your ECC, it can be planned and shipped with the help of TM. For your procure-to-pay cycles, you've now created probably a PO or an STO in your ECC system, and then you want to get it planned via TM and delivery and make its delivery and shipment back into ECC. So even that's supported. Customs and compliance management, as we spoke earlier, that's done by GTS system. Dangerous goods management. So if you are into some kind of a chemical industry or something like that, you would be having something called as an SAP EHS system, Environment, Health and Safety System. If you implement that, you could do the dangerous goods management. It's got best-in-class functionality, a lot of reports that can be done. You can collaborate this TM with an iPhone or an iPad. It's flexible, simple, and has good performance. That's how the UI of transportation management looks when it's opened from the NetWeaver business client. There are two UIs that you can use for TM. One is the normal SAP UI thing, and the other one is the NetWeaver business client. So all the transactional documents that we shall be seeing in the training, freight units, freight orders, forwarding orders, settlement documents like forwarding settlement document, the freight settlement document, all can be seen on the NetWeaver business client. So this is something like a transportation cockpit whereby you would have these maps. You could see these are interactive maps. These are third-party applications which do not come with SAP TM standard, but you will have to buy extra licenses for these. So there are a whole lot of work lists, dashboards, analytics, and you can have your reporting done on the mobile devices. So it's a solution for almost all the users. Transportation planner, specialist, transportation dispatcher, a charge clerk. Coming to what we should be discussing and what would be the course scope now. I would just stop it here there are a whole lot of slides that I could cover, but that's usually where I give the overview is. So talking about the course scope, we shall be following the TM 110 as our Bible. So TM 110 is a standard course module that's given by SAP. For its course duration is 5 days. In these 5 days, you will be discussing, or we would be studying, these different units. That's unit 1, 2, 3, whereby we are just starting from the very basic organization structure, coming to its master data like the core interface, that's transferring the master data from ECC to the TM box. Unit 3 talks about the transportation configuration requirements, making changes into the mode of transport, means of transport, visual business, geocoding configuration, etc., etc. Then we would come to transportation network master data, whereby we would learn about location, zone hierarchy, and transportation lanes. In Unit 5, we shall discuss about resources. We'll discuss about vehicle resources, handling resources, calendar resources, etc., etc. Unit 6 will tell you about what is a freight unit and how is it built. So probably the physical diversifications of the material is a freight unit. Unit 7 will tell us about transportation requirement configuration. That's what all that we need to set up to integrate the ECC with TM. In Unit 8, we shall be talking about configuration of the transportation cockpit with the help of selection profiles and planning profiles. Unit 9, we shall study about incompatibilities and conditions. So what all products cannot go with the other product. Ice creams cannot go with something that's to be kept at higher temperature. All these things can be set up into the system, and the system plans it accordingly. And then finally, about the optimizer. So that shall be the course scope. In case you have any questions, you can do write us back. We can obviously be very interested to get back with you.